I'd like to start with the Baal Haturim. So the Baal Haturim has some powerful ideas. After we talk a little bit about the Baal Haturim on Parashas Vaera, then I want to talk about Rashi on Parashas Vaera. There's some powerful Rashis. But first, I wanted to say a couple of teachings from the Baal Haturim, but really one primary teaching, one major teaching from the Baal Haturim. But first, I'll say the small ones. The Baal Haturim is always talking about the number of times something appears in the Torah portions. From Parashas Vaera, it says, "Vayidaber Elokim Moshe, Vayomer Elav Ani Hashem." God spoke to Moshe, and He said to him, "I am Hashem." Vaera El Avraham El Yitzchak El Yaakov, and it says, "And I appeared to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Bekel Shaddai." So the word Vaera, I appeared. The Baal Haturim says something so special that you won't. It takes a little bit of the time to really let it absorb into you. The word Vaera, Era means appeared, and Vaera, and I appeared. But the letter Vav has a numerical value of 6. So the Baal Haturim says there were actually 6 appearances of God to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That if you count Vaera, the number of times it says Vayera Hashem El Avraham or Vayera Elav Hashem, it's 3 times, and then to Isaac it appears twice, and then also to Jacob. So we see that God appeared, Vayera, God appeared 6 times to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and that's hinted to in the word Vaera, 6 appearances. What only the Baal Haturim could figure. I mean, the Baal Haturim is amazing that he is able to say that to us. And then the next word is, it says in the verse, it says, "Vayidaber Elokim El Moshe." God spoke to Moses, and then He says to him, "Vayomer Elav Ani Hashem." Now, what's the difference between Elokim and Hashem? So Elokim, Rashi says, and Baal Haturim also, a lot of commentaries understand that Elokim represents the God of justice, as opposed to Hashem, who represents the God of mercy. So the Baal Haturim teaches us this. The way we remember is Elokim. The numerical value of the word Elokim is the same as Dayan, meaning to judge. It's the same. Elokim is Aleph, Lamed. Lamed is 30. Aleph is 1. Hey is 5. Yud is 10. Mem is 40. And that's 86. And the word judge is Dayan, and judge is 74. But if you say Hua Dayan, he is the judge, then you get to 86. And that's how the Baal Haturim says is we're supposed to learn from this fact that He is the judge. But now we go to the one that I wanted to focus on, which is what the Baal Haturim says on the verse, which is to my mind a very important teaching here. In chapter 6, verse 8, it states, "Ve'veti etchem el haaretz," and God is telling Moses, "I shall bring you to the land, asher nasati es yadi," that I lifted up my hand, Laseis Osa, to give it to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and Nasati Osa lachem, and I shall give it to you as a morasha, as a heritage. I am Hashem. I'm going to give the land to you as a heritage. I am God. So what does it mean I'm giving you this land as a heritage? So one of the main themes of the Baal Haturim's commentary is he interprets the Masoretic notes, which in our Chumashim are typically not even printed anymore. And those are the little notes on the side of the Chumash that were hints to as the Masoretes writing in the 7th or 6th, 7th, 8th century would make little notations to help them remember points in the Torah. So here, next to this verse, there's a letter bet, or next to this word morasha, heritage, a very, very powerful word. Next to this word morasha, the letter bet appears. So the Baal Haturim tells us that this means bet bamasoret. That means that this word morasha appears twice in the Torah. It appears twice in the Torah. It appears right over here. V'nasati osa lachem morasha. I'll give you the land of Canaan as a morasha. And the other time it appears is really in the last page of the Torah. Right now, thank God, I started around 999 hours ago, and now I'm up to my 1,000th hour. I'm writing a Torah scroll, and I was timing it to finish on the Alter Rebbe's Yortzeit. So I'm going to finish a Torah. And so then this morning, I wrote this verse, and the verse states, Torah tziva lanu Moshe. God commanded Torah tziva lanu Moshe. Moshe commanded us with the Torah. And then it says, Morasha Kilat Yaakov. He commanded us that it's a Morasha, the heritage of the congregation of Israel. The Torah that Moshe commanded us is the heritage of the Keilah of Yaakov. So there are two times in the whole Torah, here, in the very, very last page of the Torah, that the word Morasha appears, and the Morasha means a heritage. The land of Canaan is our heritage, and the land and the Torah itself is our heritage. In a moment, I'll ask you, and you can try to define it. When we stop the recording, I'll stop the recording in a moment, and I'll ask you, what's the difference between an inheritance and a heritage? But the Baal Haturim is pointing out, and we'll see what he says is the difference, that the Torah and the land of Canaan are not an inheritance, but they are a heritage. So I want to say a couple of points about that. First of all, we'll read what the Baal Haturim says, and then I want to say what our Talmud said in our studies on Shabbos. So it says that, what does it mean about the word heritage? It states as follows. It states, V'natati otachem morasha, and morasha kilat Yaakov shebizkut haTorah Yeshua haaretz. He says this is to remind us that the Israelites inherited the land with the merit of the Torah. The Torah is a heritage, and Canaan is a heritage, to teach us that we will merit the land only with the merit of the Torah. As it states, Vayitein lahem artzot goyim ba'avur yishmeru chukav v'toratav yinsaru. So that God gave them the lands of the nations so that they may safeguard his statutes and observe his teachings. And so the term morasha, which is a heritage, rather than an inheritance, which is a Yerusha, is an allusion to the fact that the Jews living in Egypt would give the land of Israel to their descendants, but they would not take it themselves because they would not enter the land. That's what the Gemara in Baba Basra tells us. A heritage is something that, ironically, you could give over without you yourself actually getting, without you yourself inheriting something. An inheritance, the Talmud told us in the Daf Yomi for Shabbos, was 81 from Nedarim. On page 81 of Nedarim, we learned that why is it that sometimes the Torah scholarship is not passed on from one great Torah scholar to his children? How come sometimes you have children of Torah scholars who have no relationship with the Torah? And the answer of the Talmud is, we don't want to think that Torah is an inheritance. We don't want people to think it's an inheritance. Torah is a heritage. The land of Israel is a heritage. What's the major difference? The major difference is that inheritance is something that you can get. And I think as Mordechai and Aviva were on this call, they told me on Shabbos, inheritance is something you could give away. You can inherit a watch, and then you could give that watch away. It's yours. Once you get it, you could give it away. But a heritage is something that is yours. It could be given to multiple people in the family, and it also can't be given away. It can't be given away. And it's something, an inheritance is something that could be depleted. A heritage is something that can never be depleted. In fact, the more you use it, the greater it becomes. And so these are just some of the differences between the inheritance and the heritage. So our relationship with Torah, our relationship with the land of Canaan is a heritage relationship. We should never feel that our relationship with the land of Israel is an inheritance. No, and never feel that our relationship with the Torah is an inheritance. It's a heritage-like relationship. I'm going to pause here and see if anybody can share differences